Translating what you're hearing through your amp and reproducing that tone into your computer is probably one of the hardest things associated with metal recording. How do you get from clean to dirty? Well, it's basically turning up the knob from 0 to 100 and then shredding to your heart's delight. But it's not always your best friend. Gain can be too saturated, too dirty, too fuzzy, and it doesn't always translate when you're recording it. The important thing that we need to do is to listen to how it sounds almost right in front of the speaker. The microphone's going to pick up the signal different to what your ear is. So a bit of trial and error playing, bringing the gain back is an important little trick to try. And if it's too distorted, it definitely will sustain a lot, but it'll be quite fizzy and fuzzy, and there probably won't be any definition compared to if you lower the gain a bit, you kind of cleaning it up to a point where you're happy that it sounds fat enough and big enough, but it's not fizzy. Especially if you're going to be multi-tracking, if you're too distorted on every single track, it's just going to turn into a mud pool. If you clean up your tracks, the sum of all the parts of what you're recording is actually going to combine into a massive sound if you get it right. And also when recording with effects such as delay, chorus, reverbs, sometimes it's best to leave it till after you've recorded the main tone. If it's a specific part that you really need that delay to do that performance, then by all means do it then. But it is an advantage to be able to add plugins afterwards to get those delays and modulations, even pitch and different effects that you want. So you don't have to get caught up with getting your tone exactly right when it comes to things like effects like reverb, delay, filters. Cubase comes loaded with a bunch of these plugins that you can apply afterwards. So how to find the sweet spot in your gain or your tone? It's definitely a matter of trial and error, playing around with how distorted it is when you're playing, listening back on headphones and how it compares to the backing track that you're playing with. It's certainly important to kind of start dialing it back to where it starts cleaning up and it's too clean, and then bring it back so that it sounds like you can play that heavy sound that you want without being too fizzy and too bright and trebly. So now that you've recorded your guitar parts, now you can listen back and monitor how it sounds. It's really important to get the right levels and see if it's translated from your amp into your DAW. So some good examples of it not sounding great is that it's either out of time, it's a bit hissy, might be even out of phase, and all those things you can hear back from monitoring, and so you need to go back to the starting point, whether it was the sound of your amp or your guitar, or you're just playing sloppy. Creating a fuller sound when you're recording is achieved by double tracking or triple or quadruple. It's really up to you. But a cool thing to do while you're doing that is actually change the sound of the guitar slightly from take to take. So you might have a pedal that you want to slightly add into some little bit more gain, or a bit more tone or EQ, or you might change the pickup on your guitar or use a completely different guitar altogether. These will all help in kind of just adding to the fullness of the sound, making it more interesting as well, so it's not exactly the same sound in that particular take of the song that you're recording. So here's my clean sound, and we're going to throw a VST Amp Rack on it, so we'll just play it. So it's just a clean guitar, no amp or any effects built into that, and just turn this on. And now we'll play it back. That's just a one guitar, so it's distorted. It's got an amp sound. It's like a Plexi style amp, and actually it started off with a preset from a Meshuggah Plexi amp with a U87 microphone built into it. That sounds pretty cool. So for that guitar part, I double tracked it with another guitar, and I'll just bring in the VST, and when you hear them both back, you'll hear that they're, it's going to be nice and wide. That both the takes aren't exactly perfect, and I think that's what gives you that kind of wide, massive feel. So the good thing about using two different presets or tweaking the tone a little bit is that it creates better stereo width and just a better sound overall. The great thing about DAW recording is that you can really build songs from your parts. You can cut and paste and build sections and then build the dynamics and add different parts here, remove other parts in different sections, and it's a really good building block for creating a song from that one little small idea to a full-blown recording with lots of different clones of yourself playing the same thing. So in this next section of the song, I implemented different techniques. There's a bit more sustain in the chords, longer notes, and I've also layered the guitars with other guitar parts that are a bit higher up the register, so it just creates a bit more fuller tone, fuller sound in the section. Bands such as Meshuggah, Tesseract, they have a lot of dynamics happening in their music, from really clean guitar parts to massive sounding riff-based sections in their songs. The production is so much more elaborate than Black Sabbath back in the day, or Led Zeppelin, or the earlier bands, where they've added so many different parts. They've added clean guitars, even some of their heavier guitars they've cleaned up so much that they have a different vibe about them, even though it's still considered in the metal genre.